Hey guys, welcome to God's Armor for Life. I'm LT, and I'm looking forward to talking through a number of topics that we go through and deal with in our lives. And today, what I want to talk to you about is following God's plan for your life. Many times in life, we tend to plan and strategize around different things we'd like to either accomplish or get to at various stages in our life. And through those efforts, right, we generally think that we're positioning ourselves to achieve those goals and objectives. Oftentimes we do a lot in the way of work and effort to be able to be in position to take on, new opportunities, start new businesses, and really try to make the best out of ourselves and through our resources, right? But sometimes those doors they don't open, or they open for a time and then something happens and then there's failure and loss. And this could be the same thing with relationships. This could be the same thing with friendships. This could be the same thing in terms of career. This could be the same thing in terms of, you know, um, you know, uh, learning and your growth and your development. Just anything you really aspire to, right? We can have plans all day, but the reality in life, right, is that we don't necessarily get to see those plans fulfilled. And a lot of times, I think, as chosen ones, when we think about that, we really have to kind of realize that God's got a bigger plan. There's a bigger plan set forth for your life. And a lot of times, we don't necessarily see it. We see frustration, we see loss, right? Um, we see things not going our way, and we try to understand and rationalize what's happening. Why is it that this is, not going in my favor? I thought I did all the right things. I thought I put all the parts and pieces in place. I thought I took, made the right steps and took the right efforts towards this goal, only to have the outcome that we desired seemingly slip away, right? Or you might get, these unforeseen roadblocks for a variety of different reasons, and you're still trying to kind of rationalize, God, why is this happening? What's going on? Why am I sustaining all these losses? Why did this business fail? I thought I had a great business plan. I thought that there was a market for this. I thought that there was going to be a lot of traction that I could attain and that I was going to be able to scale this business, and pursue these longer term entrepreneurial endeavors, right? And sometimes you have mixed successes, sometimes you have some failures, sometimes you have complete failures, and doors just seem to close. And then you find yourself kind of in this wilderness season where you're like, God, what's going on? I did all the right things. I put things all in the right sort of structure and flow and, aim to set forth the plans in motion, only for things to just constantly domino back on and against me. And this, guys, is, one of the most challenging things to have to deal with in life, because the plans that we set forth and the logic that we applied to be able to say, yeah, okay, I feel like if I do this, I'll attain that. If I then once I get to that level, then I'll go over here and I'll do this and I'll pursue. And again, it could be whatever it is, and I'll do the right things, expecting the right outcome. And that doesn't always take shape. And I think one of the things to remember is that as much as we want to influence things in this life, much of what happens to us is not really within our control, right? Just like, when people say, well, you can't control another person. Well, sure, you can't. They're going to do what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, right? So if you were, you know, married to somebody and they stepped out on you, you're there's no you can't control that, right? That's you can control you can control your morals and your ethics and your commitment to that relationship, but you can't control what somebody else is going to do, right? And I mean, it goes for everything. I mean, there's people who, we've heard stories of, going to the grocery store and then only for something terrible to happen, or some violent act to occur, in a shopping center, right? Nobody knows what can necessarily happen next in life. But, that's where we got to place our faith in God and the Most High, the Creator. Because at the end of the day, guys, when we plan and we put the effort forth, God wants you to put the effort forth. And there's this notion of, put forth the effort, right? And you will eventually see the fruit of your labor. But it may not come to you the way that you thought it would, and it may not look the way you thought it would look, right? And it's really an interesting dimension in life when you go through kind of these series of events and they unfold. Um, and I can tell you from my own personal experience, sometimes, God also has a way of trying to warn us, tries to warn us, like, hey, I think, this isn't good for you, or there's something going on that you don't really, that you need to be aware of. And it's a really, really interesting dynamic when you get some of these warning signs because sometimes, we want to believe for the best, whether it's people or circumstances. We want to believe for the best, and we don't necessarily um, want to think that things are going to go against us and things of that nature. But sometimes that rejection is protection, right? Because just like how can you build a marriage or a family with somebody who is maybe a toxic individual or narcissist? You can't. It's not going to be sustainable, right? It's gonna fall like the house of cards that it is. How are you going to maybe sustain a business with some partners who have other strategies or other directions they want to take that don't fit your vision? It may not, and so you may not be able to fulfill and achieve the objectives that you want. So you can't control people and you cannot control circumstances per se. Or what if market conditions just change? Right? You're trying to build a business, market conditions change, and all of a sudden sentiment for your product or service isn't necessarily needed anymore, or some sort of technology innovation comes and changes the direction of it. Either way, right? When these things go against us, we've got to take a step back. We've got to we got to get connected with the Most High, and we got to be able to understand that if that thing didn't work, that's, God's way of saying, I didn't have that planned for you. I have something better. And something better may not look like and feel like what it was or is that we thought we wanted, right? But I'll leave you with this thought, guys, that, you know, thinking about what you want and how you want it, but also having the flexibility and putting the trust, and it's really key, guys. You just got to put the trust in God and let God, direct your movement forward. And when you put that trust in God, the doors, the path, the clarity will come to you in a way where you will be amazed and you'll be kind of curious, quite honestly, as to what happens next, and how that happens and where that goes, and what that opportunity entails for you, and the things that will, honestly sometimes shock you and delight you all at the same time. So, just keep the faith. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down on yourself, because it's easy to do that, right? But